the Antarctica Treaty of 1959, an agreement signed by 12 nations in which the Antarctic continent was made demilitarized to be preserved for scientific research. What do you think about that?
I think it's a load of malarkey. And I'm going to throw a gentleman's name out there that I have worked with. He told me very specifically at the time that we communicated. He's going to die when he sees this video. I worked with a gentleman by the name of Aaron Bontrager, and he was also previously contracted by Raytheon Polar Services as a cook to work on a cat train that went across the ice, and he said the express purpose for him, I should say, for that team, working for Raytheon, was they were searching for missile site locations.
No kidding.
Correct. The whole idea of this being demilitarized is a load of baloney.
How do you think they're getting, how are they powering this facility?
I believe there's a secondary power source inside of the old pole that was built in 1957.
What do you mean the old pole?
The original pole, I should say, built in 1957, we referred to as old pole. There was other facilities that were manufactured, different stages of inhabitation of crew. So 1957 was the first one. It predates the Antarctic Treaty, which means that they could have had nuclear power there. I believe they did have nuclear power there, and that since then they may have maintained it, almost like a grandfather clause, or that they may have new, more exotic systems that are not in the legalese of the treaty.
Why do you think Antarctica is a no-fly zone?
Antarctica is not a no-fly zone.
Well, Arrow, commonly referred to as a no-fly zone. Why?
It's a misnomer. You can fly right over the no-fly zone. You just have to be higher than 8,000 feet.
Well, I'm asking, why do you have to be higher than 8,000
Oh,
feet?
because of the they're doing science on the cleanliness of the air, so they just don't want it tainted. Similarly, there's no land traffic allowed in that area. So you can take a snow machine. If I wanted to go visit the building to do my rounds, I could take a snow machine up to a certain point, and then I had to stop the snow machine and walk because simply the exhaust gases from the machine would taint their sensors. So also the only reason they're trying to block out vehicular activity is to keep the exhaust gases out of their sensors.
How do you get there?
How do you get to Arrow?
Yeah.
It's within walking distance of the elevated station.
How do you fly into Antarctica?
You fly in with a Herc LC-130, Herc on skis, and you just come in from outside of that quadrant,
Okay.
or above 8,000 feet.
Okay. How much air traffic is going around there?
During the summer seasons, 24 hours of operation, they typically have a few Hercs on deck idling most of the time, and a lot of fuel is brought in by Herc. Our waste is brought out by Herc when the airmen will allow themselves to be a flying garbage can, as they claim. But yeah, basically almost all operations and logistics were done by Herc. While we were there, in my 2010 season, they had brought in their first fuel haul over land as kind of an experiment to the process. And it's my understanding that they call this a traverse, that they have since increased traverse activity to drag large fuel bladders across the ice to resupply the fuel that way, being more economic than doing it by Herc, and then affording that volume of Herc space that's not being utilized for fuel now can, of course, do other things. The flight operations are almost 24 hours a day during the summer season because nothing moves in the winter season. So everything has to occur in a certain window.
Okay.